All right, everyone, I'm showing the top of the hour here, so you can go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everyone this afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for coming to this webinar on designing and drafting with 3D Experience. Here's part of a presentation by GoEngineer. I'm very happy to have you guys with us today, and hopefully we can shed some light on some of the tools in the 3D Experience platform that you may have had some exposure to, maybe not a whole lot. Just kind of give you an idea of some of the advantages of this tool, and even to some degree how it might go alongside with some of your SOLIDWORKS installations, because I know some of you are probably using that. So to get started here, I'll just go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Trotter. I'm one of the application engineers here at GoEngineer, and I'm based out of our Nashville, Tennessee location. Been stationed here in this location for about the past couple of years, and especially since that time, I've been really focusing on the 3D Experience platform and some of the design tools there. So I've been pretty immersed in that for the last couple of years, in addition to working pretty much exclusively with SOLIDWORKS before that, and some of the different tools there. So I'm really excited to present to you guys on this topic today. So when we talk about different design tools, of course, many of you all are familiar with ones that require you to install locally, like SOLIDWORKS, or maybe even some others. But one of the things that we want to address today is, why would you be interested in using cloud tools? What's the advantage of it? Because tools like SOLIDWORKS are here, they work really well, and looks like it'll be around for quite some time. They're not going anywhere. So what's the advantage of cloud tools? Well, for one, it gives you web access to your data, as opposed to being installed locally, or having your data on a local drive and being tied down to a machine or to a network. When you save your CAD data on the cloud, you can access it really from anywhere, like no matter where you are. So there's a great deal of flexibility and versatility by storing your data in that way. Another thing is that the tools that we're going to look at today are operating system independent. So as opposed to being tied down to Windows, these tools that we're going to look at, you can access them essentially on any web-enabled device. So you have, again, more flexibility there in terms of how you work. And then the third thing that we want to talk about is the fact that there's no installation. So kind of going along with the operating system requirements that you may be used to, there's no installation. All that's really required is access to a web-enabled device, and you just log in via the cloud. So we're going to take a look at two tools in particular that you have access to on the 3D Experience platform that you can sign up for. So to start that, we'll look at design with the app that's called xDesign. And this is part of the 3D Creator role on the platform. So that's kind of how things are packaged. We'll talk about the app and look at how to move inside of it. But in terms of how that would be listed when you go to maybe purchase it as part of the role. So that's one of the differences in how the platform packages things. Now, when we talk about design, of course, we're looking at 3D models, whether they be parts or assemblies. And of course, I'm sure you guys are familiar with these. You've seen several different types of models that you can mock up, and you get various material properties for it, and eventually, in many cases, look at making them. And of course, that's what's done in industry, modeling these up and then using various manufacturing methods to go ahead and produce them. So we're going to take a look at xDesign and see what that workflow looks like. So again, you just log into your browser, and then once you're set up with the appropriate link, you just use your login information to log in. And the interface is going to look similar to this. So a little different than things you may have seen in the past, but we have what's called a dashboard here. As we log in here and see, we've got the associated URL. We've got a few different tabs here that are set up, and we'll go through a couple of them. And now that you see that this is just in a browser, I'm going to go ahead and make this full screen, give us a little bit more space to actually view the app. And we'll go ahead and look in xDesign here and create a new component, start modeling here. Just give it a name. And once we have our name established, just verify the location that we want to save it. And here in our graphics area, we'll see some planes that we can start out sketching on. Cross highlights over here in the tree with these planes as well. So we can just click on one of those from either location, start a sketch. And we'll just create some simple geometry here. This is going to be a chair bracket, pretty simple part that we're going to make. And going to go through some of the same modeling procedures that you would expect in your typical CAD product. So as we sketch this simple geometry here, just going to model like half of it because we want to take advantage of some symmetry here. We usually emphasize symmetry a lot so that you can make it easier on yourself and kind of cut your work in half there. So just make this construction geometry here because that's not part of the actual thing that we want to extrude. So just kind of becomes perforated here. Start setting the scale of our model here. And again, we want to mirror this across this axis here. So we'll go ahead and take advantage of that tool here on the Sketch tab. xDesign recognizes what we're trying to mirror about. So now we've got a completely closed profile. And now maybe just want to go ahead and add on a couple of other dimensions here so that we can fully define it, as we call it, really just lock in these dimensions here. So get this bottom line here. And these 3 dimensions, lock that in. And now we have a profile that we can go ahead and extrude to be a 3-dimensional shape here. So here we'll go down to our features. This is where we look at modifying our 3-dimensional geometry here. And again, we're going to look at making this kind of symmetric here. So choose the mid-plane option to apply symmetry on a feature level here. This is going to be our primary shape. And we'll look at adding a couple of other features here. So get another plane here and start a sketch on it. And just kind of iterating our design intent here. This is one of the other things that we talk about whenever we're doing a CAD webinar or going through our training classes, is using design intent to really drive what our model is going to be like. And it's no different here in this example. So whereas we have this construction geometry, what I actually want to do is take advantage of some of the natural features of this by going ahead and bringing this up to this edge here so I can take advantage of the middle point of it there. Because, of course, you can always add in dimensions to your model, but if you can take advantage of relations here, then you can kind of cut down on how many dimensions that you actually need. So, of course, that's fully defined there, and we'll just mirror this across this other line that we've drawn here. And that kind of completes our profile there. See, we've only got one dimension that's fully defined there. And we can go ahead and apply this cut through this entire model here. So just come over to our property manager and make the appropriate selection here. So that just goes through the existing model. Approve that change. And there's one more feature that we want to apply here on the side. So this time, instead of doing this all on the sketch level, we want to apply some geometry just to set the location and take advantage of a more kind of complex feature here. So this is just going to be a line with a couple of points on it to set the location for 2 additional holes. So we got our line, and I just want to grab a couple of points here. We'll put those on there and give them some dimensions. Go ahead and set this up kind of quick here. We don't need anything too fancy here. As we're going along, you see that this is quite easy and intuitive, like other applications that you may have been working with in the past. So once we have those 2 points set up, Now I can go to our Features tab and get our Hole tool. And I tend to call it the Advanced Hole, much like the Hole Wizard in SOLIDWORKS there. And we'll just set our 2 locations here. I like to go ahead and choose the points first so I can see how the preview changes as I make changes there on the Design tab there. Gonna leave some of this the same. For instance, the hole type is counterboard. That's exactly what I need. We can choose from various industry standards like ASME inch or metric. Choose inch in this case. And just going to go ahead and change a few of the dimensions here so that it really reflects what we want. So counterboard actually needs to be on the opposite side, so I can change some dimensions here. Really hone in exactly what I want. And of course, it's really helpful to have that preview there so you can see exactly what's going on. In this case, we need to make sure it goes all the way through the bottom of the model. So to kind of achieve that, we can change this depth here and just give it a number to make sure that it goes all the way through there. So maybe change that to like 1 there. And that should be good. And from here, pretty much done. I just need to mirror this on the opposite side. So that's going to be a pretty simple operation that we can achieve with the mirror function. So I'll come on over here to the Design Manager, grab that hole there, grab that feature, and we just go ahead and mirror that and click the plane that we want to mirror it about. And that kind of completes the design there. So now that's complete, and we can go ahead and save that. So we can just save it here on the platform, on the cloud. There are also some options to save it as different file types. So at this point, this may be all that you need. In the case of me designing this was kind of as far as I needed to go, because the option exists to just export this as like a 3MF file for 3D printing. And in fact, that's what I needed this for. So go ahead to my next slide here. You see where I actually printed this out and put this on the bottom of my chair there in my dining area. You see on the right there where the one that came with it broke, and I just had to reverse engineer it, model it up, and then go ahead and print it out. So just this application by itself can get you to where you need to go, but more often than not, you're also going to need some associated drawings with the things that you mock up. Obviously, that's huge in industry. So that kind of brings us to the second half of this webinar here, which is going to be talking about drafting or making drawings with the app xDrawing. And that's part of the manufacturing definition creator role there on the platform. So when we talk about drawings, I'm sure many of you have seen engineering drawings at some point, whether it be of parts or assemblies. When it comes to your parts, obviously you're putting dimensions on there so that the machinist or manufacturer knows exactly what to do in order to create the part. And in the case of assemblies, it kind of functions as a way to see the different components. You see your different bill of materials and how the components fit together. So drawings serve a really useful purpose in this kind of design cycle there. Now, our app on the platform, xDrawings, is not exactly ready for prime time yet, because there are still some features that really need to be added. So they're still working on it to kind of iron it out before it can truly be presented for use. But it is definitely at a point now where we can at least show you what it looks like, and it's robust enough to where it works for some basic things. So go ahead and get into that by coming back to the platform here. And I mentioned earlier that we had these different tabs. So here's a tab, the documentation tab with xDrawing on it. And it's pretty easy to transition here. Just go and grab the name of that model from xDesign and just drag it over here into xDrawing. And similar kind of workflow here. We just go ahead and give it a name and specify where we want to save it. in a collaborative space. That's what we call the storage area there on the platform. So it's going to go ahead and create the product, and that's kind of the nomenclature that's used on the platform, these physical products. That's how they're labeled there. So this interface will begin to get set up. We'll see the model populate here. And the workflow kind of with working with xDrawings is to create views and then place those views on the drawing here. So there's going to be a total of 3 views that I create here that we can use for the drawing. First one's going to be this front view, and then I'm going to grab a top view here. And nice thing here is that we can change the annotation color, that is our dimensions that get applied for each individual view, to kind of differentiate them. So nice little feature there. And from there, we're not just limited to kind of those preset views, front, right, top, bottom, like that, but we can also choose it based on the specific geometry that we have. For instance, I want to get a view that focuses in on these holes that we've created and get those dimensions. So again, come here and set up the view kind of the way that we want it. Choose the particular shade that we want and go ahead and give that a specific descriptive name. So we'll go ahead and name that. Go ahead and click OK. And now you see all these 3 views that we've created. They're listed here. And as we click them, we can activate any one of them. So just go ahead and start with the front here and apply these dimensions and kind of grab them from, of course, obviously what we modeled earlier. So you can go ahead and place them here on the model. So I think you just need to get like 3 of these. And as we're placing these, you might notice that it looks a little bit small. So a little bit of change is needed here. So we can go and change these as needed just by setting the document settings here. And we want to change, first of all, our units here. This kind of defaults to millimeters. So maybe we want to change that to inches. And then we can also make this font a little bit bigger as well, make it a little bit easier to see. So with that set, we can kind of continue onward here and set some of these other views. So the front has been completed. We snap back to an isometric view, and then we can go back to our other view here. So it's going to be a top, and we'll grab our dimension tool again, just kind of go through a similar workflow, create some of our dimensions out here, and you'll notice that as we apply these that this is not black, but instead blue, based on what we set that annotation color to be. So we will get that differentiation there. And this is one of the features that I expect to kind of be enhanced as this tool gets more traction, as Dassault works on it a little bit more, to be able to just grab these different dimensions as opposed to creating all of those manually, but still pretty good to be able to create them in this way. And lastly, we have our whole view here. So we want to apply just a couple of dimensions on here just to illustrate the point and show you a few different views here. So there's one, and then we'll go ahead and grab it to the other edge here. And after applying these 2 dimensions, obviously we need the size of it. One nice thing with SOLIDWORKS is that you can just click on the hole there, even when you're creating a drawing, and it just grabs the whole call out with all of that information. That's one thing that hasn't been added in xDrawing yet, but we do have the ability to kind of create notes where you can call out that information. So, for instance, there's, the 2 hole diameters that are associated with this hole, as well as the depths of them. So we can just kind of type that in there and place it there on the bottom for now, so that it's as descriptive as possible. And even after we place them, we can still go back and edit, so you're not, locked into it. You can still make the changes that you need to. So that should just about do it for our views. And we can go ahead and from this point, we've got all our views set up, so we need to put those on a drawing. So we can come and to our 2D drawing tab, go ahead and create a new one, and we do have the ability to create templates. This feature was just added recently, by the way, like with the latest release. So we can create a template of our drawings and bring that in, so that'll kind of be the basis that we create our drawing on. So we'll just click OK. This gets brought in, and now we can bring in our different views to our drawing. This is front view, so maybe I want to place this a little bit lower here. And go ahead and have that snap. Go ahead and grab the other ones. I think I'll grab the whole view first. And that over there, you'll notice that we get the same annotation, that color, that green color, on this particular view. And then, lastly, we'll get that top view and just arrange them there. So a lot of the basic functionality that you would expect from a drawing tool is evident here in xDrawing, and you just save that to the platform, and then of course if you need to save that as a PDF as well, then that functionality also exists. So those are kind of the two drawings, or the two apps rather, that I wanted to focus on today. And in some cases, customers want to work like this, work with cloud tools. This is something that's gaining more traction. This is not necessarily intended to replace SolidWorks. You can still use that alongside it. There is a tool that integrates with the 3DEXPERIENCE platform with traditional SolidWorks desktop, but of course the thing we want to really focus on today are these X apps for design and drawing here. So that's actually all that I have to present today. Just kind of to introduce you to these tools on the platform. I'll stick around for a little while in case anyone has any questions about anything that I went over, any auxiliary comments or concerns. And if there aren't any, you end up just signing off. Just want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I'm glad you're able to join us for our presentation.